Hi friends, this is Kathleen from Be Again Books, and I'm glad to spend some time with you today. Today I want to share my three-part system for organizing paper scraps and cut-offs from other papers and all of that paper that just kind of builds up. You don't want to throw it away. Yeah, let me share with you how I store that in a system that helps me retrieve it and find what I want and use it in an intuitive way as I make ephemera and pockets and journal cards, all of the embellishments that we use in our journals that take scraps. I will also demonstrate a project as we go along and share some other finished pieces at the end of the video. This video is part of a collab with Cara Brandon of Cara Brandon's Creations here on YouTube, and she has a whole month of decluttering and organizing videos with all kinds of really great makers and people who know what they're doing. I'm pleased to be part of that collab. There is a hashtag that is in the title of this video and also in the description. And Cara has a link to each of the videos that we'll post this month in January with the other artists and makers. And so I hope that you'll come along and check the link each day and check the hashtag and pick and choose those videos you think that will help you the most in your organizing challenges. When Cara reached out to me, she asked if there was some part of my studio organization that worked really well and would I like to share. And I said yes. I had participated with Cara a couple years ago in her organizational challenge. I think it's been 2 years ago. And at that time, I did all the hard work of decluttering and reducing my stash and trying to find homes for odd pieces and all of the hard work that we're all going through in this month. We do it every January, right? I was able to find a system that really worked for me. I have refined it a bit over the years, and I've added a few storage pieces and some aesthetically pleasing decorative things that I love to look at. But I just find that it works pretty well. At that time, I discovered that I needed open storage and macro systems that catch the clutter before it ends up on my desk. And so getting the paper and the paper scraps and all of the things that are difficult to categorize, that's been a game changer for me. And so showing off my paper scrap system is the topic of this video, and it's a pleasure to share. I need to remind you that everyone works differently, and you really need to find the system that works well for you. I am a layerer. I love to put layers in my journal. That's why I keep all these scraps of paper so that I can do collage and clusters and add short pieces of paper into my signatures. I just love creating layers. And so this nested system that I've discovered to help me is intuitive because nesting is like layering. So I've created a nesting box system to store my paper scraps. It's also a custom do-it-yourself system made of entirely recycled materials, just cardboard box trays from the grocery store. And I was able to decorate it to fit my style. In my studio, I organize everything around me according to the job that it does in the journal making process. So every material in my studio has a place within this overall system of how do I make a junk journal. For example, paper and paper scraps are an essential part of the decorating the journal phase for me. So these are the things that I do to bring the pages to life. I make pockets and I make belly bands and I decorate those elements before I put them in the journal. So this approach helps me keep my space efficient, and it also helps move my creative process along. I'm standing now in my closet where my paper scraps live. Let me show you the first part of this three-part system. The first part of my system is this large cardboard tote box. I use it to store the very largest scraps. So these are perfect for big jobs where I need a big piece of paper. So I would pull something like this and use that in a signature, or maybe for a pocket or a wraparound journal paper. But I have it kind of loosely organized by size. Smaller ones, smaller pieces kind of are at the front, but I don't pay a lot of attention. I just come in when I need a piece and sort through it to see what I might like to use. This is also where I store the 12 by 12 cutoff strips that I collect when I make signatures for my journals. So if I'm using designer paper, those big pieces come in here. And so when I feel like I want to make ephemera that would wrap around, or a pocket, or a journal paper that would flip or fold over the top, this is where I come for those kinds of pieces. So if I want to make a pocket, for instance, here's a scrap that's just the right size. The next part of my system is this stack of 3 shallow nested trays. These trays organize just the largest random paper scraps by size. So in this bottom tray, I have all of the large neutral scraps, bigger random pieces. And these are perfect for creating backgrounds or layers. So that's the foundation tray. The second tray is for layering, and this holds the colorful printed scraps and kind of middle-sized pieces. These are colors, so this is what adds kind of a pop of color to clusters or layers or pages. However, I might want to use a colored piece in a layered kind of way. The top tray is just the same as the bottom tray, only a different size. So these are also neutral pieces, larger than cluster pieces, but smaller than the bottom tray. And having them in 2 different trays kind of helps keep this size paper from just getting lost in the bigger pieces of the larger tray. So next on the shelf is this stack of decoupage trays that hold all of the smaller pieces and scraps of paper that I use in making journal elements, in collage, in clusters. Just these are all of my little paper scraps. Let me take it over to the desk and I'll show you how it works. So this third part of my system is a stack of 6 shallow trays specifically for creating junk journal elements and embellishments. So each tray has kind of a job that makes crafting more efficient. It's all paper scraps, and I don't sort it by color, a little bit by size, but it's mainly just kind of the intuitive layering thing that I was trying to explain earlier. So the foundation tray, these are pieces of paper. They're scraps that are already kind of sized for base foundation elements, kind of like pockets or tuck spots. And these are the scraps that I produce the most of. So yeah, this is pretty much straight off the cutting table when I'm trimming things down, papers and things. Sometimes they're folded, sometimes they're not, but you know, this would make a nice little trifold journal card. Let's pull one of these out too, and I'll show you how this works in practice. So this is the foundation tray, and this is the layering tray, this second one. And this stores just the medium-sized scraps and other kinds of torn pieces, or smaller pieces, things that would be left over from another project. Yeah, just these would be the middle layers in collage or element decoration, things that would be layered on top. Let's use this in our little pocket. The next tray is the focal point tray. This just organizes standout pieces, pieces that would be maybe toward the top in a collage and would be kind of a focal point. And as I say, I'm not sorting by color or style. It just, if I think it would make a nice focal point, then I put it in here. That would be pretty in our pocket, so let's pull that out. So right now, my middle layers are kind of short. I don't have that many, so it doesn't support the tray very well. So let me show you the next tray. And this is the tray that is for Tim Holtz. So I just have a few Tim Holtz things, and you know, Tim Holtz is kind of recognizable in the way I craft. These are all the little strips, pieces that I kind of keep in there. And so I just keep him all together. All of the Tim Holtz things goes in this tray, and then I know where to come when I want something that looks like Tim Holtz. And right now I'm having this tray rest here underneath, so that kind of pushes this tray up a little until I get some other scraps built up underneath. Okay, so that's the Tim Holtz tray, and this is the cluster tray. So these have smaller pieces that I would start. For instance, this might be the foundation of a cluster, and then I could put some other things on top. So I've already got that doily. I think that oh, here's a little piece. That would be pretty. A little embossed paper. So these are all pieces that are perfect for creating clusters. So I could continue to layer pieces on this cluster from this tray. And then I would reach the tray that I need finishing touches. So that's what this tray is. Finishing touches. And maybe like this little piece. That would be perfect. So let me get this kind of fixed together, and then I'll grab my stapler. And there I have a cluster already made. Now, I do have a finished clusters tray, so I would just bring this over, put it in the clusters tray. I keep the paper clusters kind of separate from the fabric clusters in this tray. And maybe you saw on the shelf that fits just right next to this whole stack too. Okay, and then finally, I have this little tray. It's the same. It's also a finishing touches tray, but this is just for the tiniest pieces. So it's just kind of like a divided tray, only I didn't have a tray that would divide it, and I didn't want to push all of these together. So I leave that as it is, and then I have just this little tray for little tiny bits that might get lost in the middle of this. So this is reserved for the tiniest accents and the most delicate details that would complete the layered design. So here we've got 3 pieces so far, but I think we need some additional layers. So let's come back in here. That might look good. Let's put another piece of texture. So these are all going to be what I think of as middle layers. And yeah, and then we need a focal point, a little finishing focal point. So let's come in here. Oh, that would be cute if it were autumn. But let's see what else we've got. That's too many square edges. Oh, here, this is yellow. Oh yeah, I like that. Let's do that. So here is the foundation piece from the bottom tray, and I am layering it with medium scrap from the next tray up, and then, you know, some other middle layering pieces from the cluster tray. And this would be from the focal points tray, and a little accent, you know, from one of these smaller trays. So that's how the system works. Let's just put this together, shall we? So I might need to round the edges on this. I would certainly get rid of some of this white, so let's do some distressing, maybe some stenciling. And I think that I'll just put this here. It's a little big. I don't want to cut it off. I think I'm just going to move it down. So let me round. We could, no, we'll just make that a little tab there on the bottom. So this is going to be a flip up pocket. And yeah, let's put that there. Oh, I wanted to put some of this on there. Let's layer that with some glue stick. And this is a little, it's the edge of a check, a vintage check. Let's put that on top. Is that straight? Yeah. Okay. And then let's use both of these. They would both kind of, in my mind, be focal points, but a label often has another layer on top, even if it's just writing or numbers. Let's put that on there. And then we'll put this on top of that. Okay, I like that. Yeah, I do. And then, so it could be glued on 3 sides on a page. Let's see if that might be nice. Where could we put this? Too big. Yeah, I like that. So here's the finished pocket. So it's layered, it's colorful, it's added to a journal. It's really amazing how quick I can create when everything's organized and it's easy to access. So all this needs now is just a little tag for the top. And here's another one, foundation piece, and just some little scraps to give it a little bit of magic. And we'll slide that in. And that's perfect. Okay, you might be wondering what I do when the trays fill up and overflows. When that's the case, it's time for a scrap busting session. So I will pull from all the trays, from the big cardboard tote to the 3 foundation scraps, and from these more shallow trays. I'll pull from all of them and make projects like master boards, tag bases, clusters, snippet strips, all of those kinds of things. So these projects use up a lot of scraps and give me a fresh start. So here's a master board I made from using some of the larger scraps and then cutting it down. There's here's another tag from the trays. Here's a pocket. So this is a fold out tip in kind of pocket. Yeah, love these kind of things. Some other tags. This is a little fold up tag with some other pieces in it. The Tim Holtz tray, the middle layers tray. This is the foundation tray. So that's how I use the trays, and when they fill up, then I just have a stash busting. But this is how I use some of the larger scraps in these kind of, they're like snippet strips, only they're big. I use the big scraps for these, and just I'm just in my mind calling it a continuous cluster strip. So I just glue the pieces end to end and then decorate them. And I can further decorate them. See, for this, I would maybe make a peekaboo pocket. I would cut that off. Or I would cut that off and make a belly band. Or I would cut a piece off and make a strip, you know, for an altered envelope. Something like that. So I'll try to do a video one of these days. So this system helps me keep my workspace tidy, because when I cut down a larger piece of paper and end up with a smaller scrap, then all I need to do is take that scrap and decide what is the job that this fits most perfectly. Whether it's, you know, a larger piece that, you know, can be a foundation, then I put it in the large cardboard tote. If it's a smaller piece that is like already sized to make a tag, then I just slide it into the foundation tray. If it's tiny scraps, then I put them in the middle layers tray. And then when that all builds up, then I just start making cards or tags somehow to kind of reduce the scope of the amount of scraps. And that's the larger catch system that I talked about at the beginning of the video. I don't have to worry about what color is this and find the color bag that stores the colored scraps. No, I just toss it into the tray, and the tray is always just a couple steps in the closet away from my desk. I don't have to go far to just clean up whatever mess I have on the desk. And it's easier to find when I want it next time. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope this 3-part organizing system maybe inspires you to create something similar for your paper scraps. Let me know in the comments how you organize your scraps. I would be interested to know. Or if you have any questions about setting up a system like this, I'm happy to answer more specific questions if you have any. So thanks so much to Cara Brandon for including me in this collab. And don't forget to check out all the other makers who are sharing their own tips for organizing your crafty space. If this video was helpful, would you please give me a thumbs up? That will help my channel, and I appreciate it very much. I will see you again with a new project.